All right, Phoenix Suns fans, you're about to hear Nick's totally biased take on his iconic image here, which is like one of the greatest images you could have sent me. In all honesty, that's not a meme, hey. But hey, look, I'll let you break that down because I've gone back a little bit further in time here. All right, I have gone with this iconic image of Sir Charles and MJ having a laugh because Sir Charles knows he's already getting beat in the finals. Isn't that sort of sums it up? And I think this is why I picked this one versus any other image in Suns history, which you guys had a bit of success, throughout the years at times, like most franchises. Let's be clear, every franchise has its ups and downs and so on and so forth. That I think the Sir Charles era, which wasn't that long, okay, but it got them to a finals. All right, it got them to a finals, was much more successful in a sense from that perspective than Steve Nash era. Okay, and the 7 seconds and less era was game changing to a certain extent, to basketball. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess maybe you can break that down a bit more if you want. But I guess we're talking about the moments in history, and I think if you're a Phoenix Suns fan, you got to say that, Charles Barkley and that group of core players there, Kevin Johnson, Danny Ainge was part of that team too. They had their sort of, all these gritty sort of players here that got to the finals and was another team that fell short against MJ. Okay. To me, sort of highlights the greatest success that the Phoenix Suns have had since your inception. And look, I'd love for you to sort of, suggest otherwise, perhaps.
Yeah, look, obviously Phoenix making the finals recently in 2021, being up 2-0 and then losing four straight to the Bucks. That's another, I guess, iconic failure of ours. And, fingers crossed that our current assembly is going to lead to some great things. But great pick. The Suns of the 90s, they were right there. Some people could believe that the Phoenix Suns was the most legitimate contender for the Chicago Bulls in their three-peats. But other people would say Seattle, so to speak. I think, unfortunately for the Suns, there is an element of we've yet to achieve the thing that we're going for, which is, an NBA championship. And so there's a lot of what ifs. And so I picked the what if from the 7 seconds and less Suns. It is 2007. I'm a younger man. I don't have as much facial hair. And Steve Nash is about to basically dribble up the court and seal a game for victory, tying the series at 2-2 with the San Antonio Spurs in the semifinals. And Robert Horry is going to prevent him from being able to dribble along the sideline by standing in the way and making sure that he gives a little bit of extra mustard as he goes past. And Steve Nash goes flying into the scorer's bench. And that's just rough playoff basketball. That's all good. But the real ramification here was Raja Bell, sorry, Boris Diaw and Amari Stoudemire stand up from the bench. So they get up from the bench because there is an altercation that sort of brews. And this leads to a suspension for game 5, which we all know. I think the statistic is dropping year after year. So currently, I think it sits at about 73% of teams that win game 5 go on to win the series. But it used to be up around the 80s. So, game 5 is important and they're going back home, but they're without their key forwards, right? And Phoenix played small to begin with, and they're going up against Duncan. So it's a what if. There's no guarantee that they win the series because they're there. But I think if they have them for game 5, it's a legitimate shot. The opponent after, funnily enough, is Utah Jazz, the Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer Utah Jazz. Feel pretty confident we would have blitzed that. And then it would have been probably a more competitive final series between the Cavs, the '07 Cavs, and the Phoenix Suns. But when you think about a pathway to a championship, ignoring the fact that Chicago stopped one pathway and Milwaukee stopped the other, this is a really fun hypothetical because this felt like the pathway that actually could have led to success for that 7 seconds in Sun. And for those Suns specifically, like that is the way the NBA is pretty much played now. Three spacing, run and gun, small ball, etc. And my one tidbit fun fact that I'll do is that the Suns, if they played in the modern era with all of the pace and space and speed, they'd be the slowest team in the league, right? So for what they were doing at the time, it was revolutionary. They're actually well below pace of what the current game's actually played at. So I picked this image because it's still the thing that we hold on to until we win a championship, that this was probably our best chance to actually win a championship. And you cannot convince me otherwise.
I guess wouldn't you say your highlight of your franchise would be Steve Nash winning two MVPs? I
I
feel
think
like if you got to choose an image from this era, you could at least grab the shot of him with his two MVP trophies, and you guys had a two-time MVP. Um, but you still fell short. I guess that to me is more iconic. Look, this was a game-changing moment. Don't get me wrong. It's probably similar to like what happened with the Pistons and the Pacers. It's probably similar to what happened when Draymond got suspended against the Cavs, and just that situation where core rotational players, whatever impact you could argue they do or don't have on a game, when they're missing from a rotation in such a critical game, changes the situation. And I guess if you can't get the job done, that's an easiest way to point a finger to the cause of that sort of outcome, I guess. And I guess that's what you selected here. But I feel at least the Suns have had more things you could pick that were than this specific moment. That I don't know. How many games were they suspended? Was that one game or two?
it was just the one game,
One
and it
game,
was
yeah.
that real. It was that. I think it was a precedent setting. So it was because they had stepped on the court. So they took a step on the court, and we're talking like baseline corner. And because they took a step on the court, it was that whole like, well, the rule is black and white. This is the rule. You get suspended for it. And, teams are more conscious of that now. I don't know if you've ever seen a fight escalate in the NBA, but you see the coaches don't even interfere. They just go straight to stopping everyone on the bench from doing anything. But it is one of those silly things. It's an unfortunate way to have a series end or be influenced because of a very abstract rule that never really escalated. And the coaches still did their job. They still prevented them from stepping onto the court. The two-time MVP thing, world's biggest Steve Nash fan in the world, but one of those MVPs is a narrative thing. He comes to the team, increases them from 20 wins to 60 wins, increases the field goal percentage of seven different players, and there's all these different things. There's probably an aspect that the D'Antoni effect, has a part to play in that too. To win two consecutive ones may be a little bit difficult, and you think about the fact that he's got two, whereas Shaq and Kobe have one. Dirk has one, KG has one. There's a lot of players that you could say maybe deserve one over him. Obviously, narrative always plays a part in MVPs. We've talked about that before. But no, I didn't pick that one because I needed to get this off my chest. That's really what this boiled down to.
I love the honesty.
This is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist in giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.